All right, full disclaimer. If you like Apple and all you buy is Apple, Apple this, Apple that, iPhones, iPad Air, whatever else, MacBook, iMac, Total Mac, Mac 10s. Who knows? Anything that starts with Mac, you're going to get. But if you like them that much, you're going to hate what I'm going to have to say about Apple. The only thing that I ever really appreciated from Apple was their operating system and the aesthetic of what it looks like on screen, because it looked very clean and very easy to use. From the video I made with Linux and doing that myself, knowing a long time ago if there was anything like it, I probably would have never bought my Macs. I had a MacBook Air and I had a Mac Mini. I had the iPhone, and I'm going to explain why Tim Cook is gone. So sit back and relax, because I'm gonna point out something about the iPhone. And I watch people I'm close to buy phones every year. It puzzles me, and I don't know why they do it. And then I realize they're stuck in an ecosystem. They're stuck in something they're scared about anything else. But let's go ahead and take a look of why I'm saying what I'm saying. All right. So the iPhone has been around for almost 20 years, starting next year. When it comes to innovation, sure, Steve Jobs didn't actually create and go into the shops and build this stuff himself. He had ideas to make something different. Going from the mid 2000s, you're looking at 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006. Before the iPhone came out, they had plenty of options of phones. You had your Blackberries, your early Androids, your wannabe Windows type computing cell phones, computers in your pockets. But the technology was not able to keep up because of the stuff inside the phones. You had a motor that couldn't push the vehicle. Apple and Tim Cook, not Tim Cook, Steve Jobs, they created a processor inside of these iPhones that could produce beautiful visuals and a streamline of just easy, fluid stuff that anybody could use. That was the key. And they got all their information from the iPods, all the stuff they did before they made this phone. They had everything in progress to make something perfect. It was almost the perfect phone, and I was jealous whenever, if anybody goes back that far, it was only available on AT&T until something called Sprint, which is no longer around, got the iPhone 4. And actually it was called the iPhone 4S, and I had one. That was my first iPhone. I had the iPhone 4, iPhone 5, iPhone 6, and I had a 7, but I sold it, and I went back to Android. But anyway, when you buy an iPhone, they used to be what I would consider affordable. You could get them on payment plans, but they were still under the $500 range. They were close to it. Now we are going into the probability of them going into the $1,600, $1,700 range, and it blows my mind. Now, when you come to these types of phones, and you go down in the progression of them making them, the one thing iPhone did, and Steve Jobs was caught up in, man, all these phones are the same thing over and over and over again. And it's hard not to say that. Okay, so what do? They throw color behind it. They throw a better camera. Every year, the better camera. It's always the best camera. So you're going to go, oh, look, now maybe a little rounder, better camera, but they all still have the same aesthetic. Now, I'm going to complain about Samsung later, so just follow along. Let's keep going. Now we're getting into the $1,000 phones now. And then they go backwards. But the problem with Apple, even when it comes to computer lines, they're out of ideas. Tim Cook was not the guy to keep going with ideas. He just kept recycling. Now, this is my opinion. But I also know when you make the same product over and over and you keep charging thousands and thousands of dollars for stuff that you've already had out there forever, but just with a little bit more speed, with a little bit better camera, people are going to start noticing eventually. They have to. And the thing about Tim Cook, after he did the forceful pride parade with Apple employees, I thought he was going to be gone by then, or right on the spot with that. But no, he stayed around. But Apple has hit a brick wall, and they're talking the stylus and now foldable phones. They're so far behind other companies. Now, I'm not saying Samsung, HTC, especially when they were around, they had beautiful phones. LG had beautiful phones, but they were innovative. And it sucks that a lot of these companies can't make them anymore because there's really no competition when it comes to Samsung and your leading guys right there. And you got stuff like Huawei out of China, open source phones out of India, beautiful phones that still do it but have a little bit of power, but you're not paying even close to $1,000 mark. But as we keep going, like I said, these iPhones bigger and the same thing over and over again. The iPhone Air, no battery life because they had to get rid of the battery to make it light. And you only get a few hours of quality. But Tim Cook, like I said, everybody inside of a certain time frame when it comes to how much more can you get out of a company? How much can you squeeze out of the same products over and over? I think that's what did him in. He's out of ideas, and his developers can't come up with anything better. They're up against competition. Now, when it comes to Samsung from the Galaxy 10, 11, and 12, when they got rid of the Note series and they started adding their stylus back in, all their phones are the same too. Samsung started losing their little market cap to stuff like the Nothing phone, not HTC, OnePlus, which I like OnePlus. But all these phones get more and more expensive. These CEOs aren't going to be around much longer either. But this is my opinion when it comes to Apple. They have pretty products. Is it even worth a phone for $1,000 to last for a year until you have to buy another one? And then their products, they quit allowing you to update your operating system because the phone can't handle it. Apple started all this. Windows is following suit. But hey, like I said, if you hate Apple, you'll like this video. If you love Apple, you're going to hate what I have to say. But I'm sorry, but Tim Cook, he didn't do anything for the company but do this. Especially when it's on stage. Very, very sad. This video ended up too long.